let's face it, as a violinist, we have to play a lot of high notes. You did not pick the violin if you were not interested in playing way up high. Here is Maggie Brady, a second-year master's student, setting up, getting ready in her Brahms Concerto for another extraordinary high note. There it is. Great. Under pressure. Here she is at the school concerto competition. Yeah. Look at the way she grabs that high C so beautifully. Luck? Nope. No luck there. It's all in great planning. All right, here comes another spot. Setting up using lots of bow, and then nails it. And it sets her up for the entire next phrase as she wails up to the top here for this great note. Yeah, awesome. All right, now we've seen Maggie perfectly execute both of these incredible moments in the Brahms. These high notes, a high C and then a high D. What do they have in common besides just being high notes? You guessed it, they are both preceded by open A string. And when we have an open A that goes up to a high note, we would be so mistaken to simply wait till the last second and then hope for the best there. Instead, we can be planning and plotting and setting up our left hand in a wonderful frame, a predictable frame, while we still hold the open A. I want to talk about how to do this because I find this opportunity in so many pieces. Maybe I'll do another video with some other examples. For now, the Brahms gives us two examples, both in the first movement. All right, so let's watch how Maggie is doing this, and then I'll explain a little bit of how she and I concocted this plan behind the scenes. It's actually something I've used many times under pressure in this concerto when playing it with orchestra, and it works every time. Of course, the asterisk is you have to really understand the layout of your fingerboard. You have to be masterful at your arpeggios and hand frame and be very comfortable with setting up perfect fourths between 1 and 3 and also reaching with your 4. All right, the open A that we're going for, it's preceded by some second position crossing. All right, now here we are on this open A. So instead of letting go of the whole hand, hoping for the best and regrouping up here, instead of that, we actually hang on to the second finger, shift up to an E natural, and then here's that perfect fourth I was talking about with the third finger, and then building. Yeah, so it's a perfect fourth plus a minor third on top. And all of this is happening while you hold the open A, and nobody is the wiser. And it looks like you just nailed that note out of thin air. So not only is this a left hand setup, it's actually a bit of coordination awkwardness. So I have to hold the A super chill while setting up all this stuff in the left hand I just showed you. And then it's revealed. Yeah. So it's a system that works every single time if you can stand holding that open A, not crossing to the E string until you're ready, and then reveal. So this is not something that happens overnight. You might need a week, you might need 2 weeks, you might need a month to actually build towards this, but it only takes a few seconds of practice each day, and you'll eventually end up with a result that works under pressure every single time. So you start to actually see the setup. That's what's happening. But I hide it. There you go. A great exercise for working on this is to actually practice just holding the open A undisturbed while your left hand is on the E string setting up those configurations. Notice that my A string is unaffected. Then I get great at setting it and revealing. All right, so now we're going to take a look at this other spot that goes up to the high D, which is a little bit more complicated because most of us aren't quite as comfortable. This is now talking beyond 8th position, really, in order to get that high D. But the same principle will apply. So in the first section, we built our A minor triad in order to find the high C. All right, so now if we look at what precedes the high D, of course, it's the open A, but even before the open A, we can take a look at what's before that. So we have these descending scales. Now, what I like to do here, because I just generally don't like to have my hand not touching any string. So when I have an open A, I always have my hand on something. So here, so on this open A, Since we're already in fourth position, I like to actually have my first finger on a B, and then this B goes up to that F, and I practice that shift. And then I build a D minor arpeggio with a major third plus a perfect fourth. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you have to be really comfortable with your arpeggio layouts. And if you've watched my previous video on arpeggios skipping a note, that's a perfect example of where to get really good at that, because then your whole hand will remember this shape and you can begin to grab notes out of, quote, nowhere. But it's not out of nowhere, it's meticulously planned and executed. And if you watch, that is exactly what Maggie's doing right here. Boom. Nails it every time. Now, if you thought Maggie was all beast mode, going and grabbing high notes out of thin air, let me show you a clip of her being extremely elegant, extremely heartfelt. Here she is in the second movement. Just listen to this gorgeous phrase. Beautiful. And I would say that Maggie's confidence over the last year has skyrocketed since we kind of have gone on this deep dive of planning, building strategies for setting up the fourth finger so that it is successful every time. It's obviously put a real focus on her fourth finger, strengthened her fourth finger. We all know when the pinky is strong, the rest of the hand is very happy. That really separates the levels of violin playing on stage under pressure. When you feel someone who has confidence not only in themselves, but in their hands and in their fingers and in their planning, it creates a completely different performance experience because you trust them. And that kind of trust in the performer on stage allows an audience to just sit back and take in the glory of this composition, of this masterpiece, without being worried for the person on stage.